Right, massive pressure on Arsenal. All the pressure on Arsenal. So let's have a little casual preview of this midweek clash of past titans of the game of the Premier League. But yeah, pressure is massive on Arsenal. They're at home in a title race to a certain extent. Will be out of a title race if they don't win. Like the recent seasons, the performances, the trajectory of Arsenal, which has definitely been going up, and they have improved massively as a team. Obviously, not won anything, which is obviously which is a big hang up for a lot of fans, rival fans, Arsenal fans. But I don't know. I feel from going from a kind of joke team for so long, where Man United have seemed to have been also for like not as long, but been side by side as joke teams. Arsenal kind of got out of that like basement of shame and actually started accelerating as a club and like moving more so as a bigger team that's not a laughing stock, right? So I think that Arsenal's performance over the seasons and over this season and over games and the way they play and the kind of playing style that they've managed to get together, it all kind of culminates, it feels like, kind of, in this game, strangely. It feels like this midweek random game that would at the beginning of the season you think probably wouldn't have much bearing on anything, right? Before Christmas, you wouldn't think that the gap would be so big. And all of a sudden, it becomes this humongous must-win for Arsenal. And the fact that it's against Manchester United, and the fact that it's against Amorim, new manager, all this plays into this kind of interesting midweek fixture. I think Man United need to come with caution. I think it's really important. I think that, well, as a fan base, not the players. The players need to be the complete other way around. The fan base needs to come with caution, and the players need to go with, like Amorim has said, with bravery and get on the ball. And it needs to be a battle for possession. United can't just drop in. We will be pressing high. For some reason, in my head before, I was thinking that it might be a lower scoring game, even though both teams have scored goals in recent times, in recent games. But the more and more I think about it, Man United aren't going to let Arsenal just have the ball. So there's going to be opportunities created one way or another, and it's probably going to be quite early on. Arsenal have where is it? Yeah, there you go. The Gunners have scored 8 of their past 11 Premier League goals before half time. So that Arsenal being kind of like early starters straight off the bat, and then the fact that we're gonna not sit back into our shape, it doesn't feel like. It feels like we're gonna continue playing this way, and then I don't think he's gonna really be tweaking too much in regards to the general idea of how he wants us to be pressing and dropping back up and trying to keep possession and trying to kind of like create parts in the game where we do kind of have that kind of passive possession at times, and get comfortable in it, right? Kind of like set your stall. Sometimes that passive possession is a sign of like strength. The fact that you're able to kind of like offer enough threat where a team will respect and drop in and let you play in front of them, right? So there's going to be a battle for possession, which isn't something that across, like, when has that ever been at Manchester United when we go away to the bigger teams, apart from Lou Van Gaal, who was also trying to implement that possession-based style in a different look. But he would also try and go to these teams and keep possession, and we did well, right, away at some of these big stadiums under Louis. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to instead of relying on the pace of Rashford and Garnacho and just balls over the top from Bruno and just hit and hope ball and defend for 90 minutes, which is what we've seen at the Emirates, right, for so many, like, how many years now? Even though we might have won or drawn, but the majority of the games have looked very similar. So it's going to be interesting whether that pattern of how these games have unfurled in recent times, it'd be interesting to see whether that changes at all. In regards to, some of my biggest hang-ups with this game and why I want to be more cautious, I think Højlund, Bruno, Rashford or Garnacho, whichever one, would struggle versus this Arsenal defence. Like, where is it? Is it here? My bad. Yeah, like that team's just, that defence is just really good. Timber, Saliba, Gabriel and Calafiori is just solid as hell defence. And if you can just lock up Ahmad, basically, I feel. So if you lock Ahmad up, right, then it's down to that kind of central threat with Bruno, Garnacho and Højlund, and I just don't think that's enough to really penetrate Arsenal. If this is the team he plays, if he goes with this rotational rested players that come in and they start, right, and then expect some of these players to go off after 55 minutes and then some more at like 70-ish. But I don't think this trio of players have got enough in them to offer a massive amount of threat to Arsenal's defence. If Ahmad can get on the ball in these areas and he can get higher up the pitch and we can actually have some decent possession, then I feel like with Ugarte, Mazraoui, I feel like this is our kind of only real hope. Let's get these out of here. I know this looks ridiculous, but forget all this now. But if we can get this kind of scenario where we are pressed higher up the pitch, and Mazraoui has come round, because we have seen this kind of Dallow's heat maps are just like further back than Ahmad. So if we do kind of see in this scenario where Mazraoui, Ugarte, and Ahmad can get on the ball a little bit more. I know Ugarte is not that type of player, but I feel like he's shown little signs that he's not too bad. His execution looks a bit scruffy at times, but his ideas are correct there. And yeah, I feel like if we can get Ahmad, Mazraoui, Ugarte, maybe Casemiro, obviously, like, he's really good on the ball also. So yeah, which is probably who I should. But yeah, if we can get into these pockets as well, Ugarte, I feel that actually is pretty chilling on the ball. But yeah, Casemiro is obviously actually really good on the ball. So if we can get in these scenarios, if we can get these players on the ball, and then you get your Garnachos making those kind of like runs in behind, Højlund just fighting with Saliba Gabriel most likely all game. And Bruno, yeah, if he can show up and be effective, not effective because that's obviously his thing that he does, but if he can, put his stamp on the game over a 90-minute period and be that kind of captain, whatever they call him, Captain Fantastico or whatever, maybe he can actually, I don't know, be someone that kind of offers presence on the pitch throughout the 90 minutes, which I feel like so important for a captain and this creative force in our team that people say. And we'll see. I think it's interesting to see the differences between an Odegaard and a Bruno. I think it'll be very interesting to see the kind of the different playing styles that they occupy, and the different spaces that they occupy on the pitch, which are vastly different. The different ways that they press. So there's a lot of interesting things that come from this game. But I feel like Barcelona 1-0. Ferran. Let's have a look who's actually starting for Barca. Olmo, Rafinha, Iman, Pedri. I don't even half of this back four, man. With this guy, I need to, watch way more La Liga. Even though I do try and watch as much as possible, all the foreign leagues are just, the playing style is just so much more interesting for me. I mean, it's not as quick, and maybe there's not like as much like danger in the final. Not as much danger, but it's not as like potent and quick and physical and devastating. Right? There's not as much devastation in the front lines in La Liga, but there kind of is. Yeah. So I don't know. In like Serie A maybe more so, and the French, the German to a certain extent, like the actual play and the build-up's actually just like really good, and it's way more interesting for me to watch as a spectator, right? And it's not as back and forth and just like real vertical. It's actually just like a real nice balance of getting the ball in, recycling possession, like good technical players like dropping into pockets, and it's all really good. And then there's just not as much like devastation and like quality probably in those attacking areas. But the majority of the game is that kind of build up and move, and I enjoy that part like just as much as kind of the final third action moments, if not more. But yeah, anyway, this game's gonna be good. I feel like yeah, like Amarin says, it will not change my life, but my life will change, but basically it will not change me. Talking about the role at Man United, and I feel like that's something that United fans can take on board for this game. They're like, regardless of what happens, the performance will be there. We might get overrun. We most likely should get overrun, right? Man United should get overrun in this game. We should get overrun. We should not have enough quality in the forward areas because we get locked up by like one of the best defenses in Europe. Yeah, in all the metrics that we can find, Man United shouldn't win. We should lose. All these little holes that we've seen, or big-ish holes that we've seen, just because it's the beginning of Amarim's tenure, and this squad of players do have a certain ceiling. Those things should get punished by this Arsenal team, right? Where they are in their cycle, how much money they've spent with this manager, the structure that's been there for the majority of Arteta's time. Yeah, and the performance levels that Arsenal have reached for like the majority of the past 2 seasons, right? They might not be as kind of potent and as amazing as they were probably when Xhaka was still there before Rice came in, but they're still a really dangerous team, and especially at home, and they've scored 10 goals in the last 2 games, both away from home. This is huge for Arsenal, and yeah, let's see if the pressure makes them fold, or hopefully the pressure does make them fold, and Man United can continue this kind of upward trajectory in regards to performance, and we can still go on an upward trajectory but lose 3-1, right? That's a huge possibility in this scenario tomorrow.